Well, hey folks, what a crazy morning in the Brendan Banfield murder trial as he takes the stand and he starts walking the jury through how he entered the house. And you know, the first thing that jumps out at me isn't any single detail, it's the overall feel of this story. It's oddly controlled for something that's supposed to be a chaotic scene. And this is the moment where most people's memories would be really messy or disjointed or emotional, maybe even contradictory. But instead, it feels like this thing is being managed. Like the narrative's already been rehearsed enough times that he knows where this story is going. Well, welcome to Profiling Evil. I want to just go right into what was covered this morning because this thing is going right back into trial, and I want to give you time to watch this, catch up, and then we'll see what happens in the afternoon. Now, Banfield says he entered through the basement, which by itself doesn't mean anything. Again, if you think to my video from yesterday, he's received the call while he's at McDonald's, not only eating his cookie, but going through the drive-thru, making 2 approaches and then leaving, but finally getting his food. He eats across the street, but then he goes back to the McDonald's and uses that bathroom for like 7 minutes. Calmly saunters out of the restaurant with his hand up to his ear with the phone there, as he's apparently talking to Juliana, who says a strange man is entering their house. Now, he gets to the house, he meets Juliana, he tells her to stay outside, but apparently, according to his testimony today, she follows him inside. He brings Juliana and his daughter into this picture, and this is where I think the cracks are starting to show in his testimony already, because he's describing his daughter as wide-eyed and scared. And I think this is really important because he doesn't tell him, hey, go wait in the car or go down the street or go make a 911 call. He says, just hang out here in the basement, because you know what? The dog's in the basement. The dog's never in the basement. The dog's food is in the basement. The dog's food is never in the basement. It's almost like somebody put the dog down there so that he wouldn't bother Christine or Joe Ryan when he arrives. Now, he says she was scared. He said he saw it. He knew it. But he wasn't thinking because he was so concerned about this man inside of his residence. We start seeing the hero emerge here because he says there's a strange man inside the house and he needs to clear the residence. But again, he didn't remove his child from the situation. He didn't send Juliana back to the child and outside to call 911. Instead, he just says, hey, wait here in the basement. Now, that decision alone is kind of a problem because it directly contradicts the role of hero that he's trying to play for the jury. I mean, you don't have to be law enforcement to know this. People without training know to get the kids out of the house first. But people with training, law enforcement training, know that you don't leave a non-combatant in a space you haven't secured. Now, he later admits plainly that the basement wasn't fully secured because he says he started checking around. Again, the hero is now in action, but he doesn't completely check the basement. That's because he already knows where everyone is and that there's only one everyone. So already I think he's in trouble. Either he didn't believe that there was danger, or the danger that he believed was completely ignored, and neither option I think helps him in this trial. Now, again, that dog explanation, my eyebrows really went up because it feels like it's there to kind of rescue a bad decision. It doesn't line up with routine because the dog is normally fed upstairs. Again, I guess you could argue, well, he's saying that Christine put the dog downstairs not to alert Joe Ryan when he arrived, or Banfield could have put the dog downstairs so that it didn't alert Joe Ryan when he arrived. Now, jurors might not consciously write that down, but I think they feel it. Real memories don't need this much scaffold building. And that's what really is troubling me about it. Because when explanations show right on cue things that would fix logical gaps, it starts to feel less like memory and more like a narrative that's being created and maintained. But from there, Banfield starts to lean hard into his testimony and his language of training. He says he cleared the basement. Well, that word really says he's doing a lot of work. Clear sounds really authoritative. It signals control. It tells the jury he's a trained police officer that knows what he's doing. He's clearing the residence. But almost immediately, the authority collapsed when he admits, yeah, but I didn't check everything. Well, clearing isn't a vibe. It's not a, hey, I glanced around. Clearing means that a police officer goes through and looks everywhere where a human could possibly hide, especially if you're going to be leaving your child behind in that same space. You don't half clear a space and then decide it's just good enough. So I think that contradiction is going to force jurors into a corner. Maybe it's a corner they don't want to be in, because either he was actually worried or he ignored his training. And again, neither option is working in his favor. And then there was this theme of selective urgency that kind of runs through the rest of his testimony. He describes hearing moaning, and get this, skin on skin sounds. He frames it as sexual. Heck, I don't even know what he means by skin on skin sounds, but he says it in open court. He says he believes that Christine is having an affair, and therefore she wasn't in danger. And that explained why he didn't call 911 at first. Now, he explains that he also didn't think he might intervene, that he might just turn around and walk back. But that doesn't fit with human behavior of catching someone in the act. He admits that although he and Christine have both had affairs, which I don't think it's ever been proven that Christine had any affairs, but it was certainly proven that he had had them, not only by his own testimony where he said, I had multiple affairs, but he had never actually seen Christine engaging in any kind of sexuality with somebody else. And again, why bring that up? There was no baseline, there was no reference point, no context, and yet, based solely on these muffled sounds that he's hearing behind a door with a strange man in the house that scared Juliana, apparently, he confidently concludes that this thing is consensual. Now, what really stood out to me was that he doesn't describe some things. He doesn't say that he was confused. He doesn't say he wasn't sure. He doesn't say he hesitated. He doesn't say that what he was hearing was confusing to him. He describes certainties that conveniently removes the need for action. But then he says something that I hope echoed in the jury, and that was that he thought about leaving and just talking to her later. I don't know about you, but that doesn't seem like a normal thought. I think people, when they're confronted with perceived infidelity, even if they know that they both have done it, according to his testimony, I don't think they calmly plan future conversations. I think people confronted with possible danger don't just walk away. That it feels to me like this was a genuine mental process and more like some narrative control for the courtroom that day. And then, almost right on schedule, the story kind of shifts. He says, now the sounds are changing. They're painful. They're not sexual. Now the space doesn't make sense for this being something about sex. Now he believes Christine is being hurt. And the cape goes back on the hero and the gun comes out as he makes his way up the stairwell. And this is a massive credibility moment. His training is driving his behavior, he said. And if that's the case, the weapon should have been unholstered the moment he came into that house believing a strange man was inside while he was instructing his au pair to make a 911 call. But he didn't do any of that. It didn't happen until this dramatic turn of events. And training doesn't activate story chapters. Fear doesn't wait for a better opportunity. And then Banfield says he moved upstairs with his gun in hand, believing his wife was being harmed. And he hears Juliana behind him. And once again, he doesn't stop her. He doesn't order her back. He doesn't tell her to take his child and leave the residence. He doesn't tell her to call 911. He's allowing this unarmed citizen who has nothing to do with this, just seemed to happen this way, the caregiver of his child, to follow him toward what he now claims is an active murder scene. There's no professional training model that I can think of that would support that kind of decision. That's the purpose of training, so that you, in stress, don't have to think about things. You react based on your training. It's not stress, it's not confusion. These are behaviors and they don't align with the danger that he's claiming to perceive. He pushes the door open with his feet. His gun's in hand. He sees Christine and Joseph Ryan near the bed. She's on the ground, he says, not clothed. He describes Ryan pulling her in front of him as he's yelling police. I feel like I'm watching a movie script here of a really bad B-grade movie. And the narrative of this hero fully emerges. He yells out to drop the knife. The suspect says, drop the gun. The suspect then says to him, she gave herself to me. These lines don't sound like chaotic recall. They sound like fantasy. And I think he's repeated them enough that it somehow feels comfortable to him. I hope that the jurors are sensitive to this, even if they can't explain these goofy words that are being said. But then Banfield said he saw something silver in Ryan's hands, partly inside his grip and partly inside of Christine's hair, but he deducts that it's a knife. And almost immediately, he says he could see Christine's face and neck clearly. And there he sees that she's been injured. So here we got him inferring the weapon. He's preparing for his lethal movements. But you know what? He can't describe in any kind of detail anything else, anything that really sat well with me. He emphasizes how terrified he was. And I'll tell you what, those are scary situations. I don't know what it would be like to walk in, if all of this were true according to Banfield, and see your wife being murdered. Who wouldn't fall apart? But he said he stood his ground and he waited for a clear shot, because he's not that good a shot. He admits that he scores low on the range. And so he was waiting for just the perfect shot. Instead of just jumping on this guy or engaging him or getting closer, he just stands his ground and waits for a shot. And he says Christine moves, almost like the choreographer in his mind is moving this story. He says that Ryan continued to make stabbing motions toward Christine. And as Christine pivoted, he had that moment in time. The hero was able to find a clear shot at the suspect. He yelled, "Freeze," and fired his round. Joe Ryan fell to the ground. And then Banfield describes another hero moment. He said right on cue, he jumped over and started to put neck compressions on Christine's wounds. He talks to her. She tells him that she's bleeding out and that she loves him, and she apologizes for having an affair. At that point, he says he kind of gathers his senses and yells to Juliana to call 911 and to continue watching Ryan. And that's when she goes into the bedroom, somehow into the closet area, and gets another weapon that he had. Now, if you remember her testimony, she said that she carried it with her into the crime scene. At one moment in time in this scuffle that's going on, and keep in mind, at this point, Joe Ryan's been shot in the head, that Joe Ryan apparently assaults Brandon, and he feels him hit his back, and Christine screams, and then Juliana fires another round, and that round kills him. Well, I think the forensic evidence supports that she shot him on the ground, not assaulting Brendan Banfield. And then Banfield described trying to, with his wife's help, save her life as he tried to stop the bleeding. If you remember, it was traumatic knife wounds on both sides of her neck. and she was bleeding out quickly. He said the wounds were so bad that his finger actually went down inside one of the wounds into her neck. And I know that's incredibly graphic, but it's important because he also says that when first responders got there and the hero relinquished the life-saving efforts that he was doing, that she was still very much alive. There was another thing that just continued to bug me that I asked in yesterday's video, and that is, why isn't anybody talking about how Christine's phone ended up in the kitchen drawer turned off? A phone that he said never left her side, yet somehow during this violent, chaotic sequence, her phone ended up downstairs in a drawer, powered off. And phones just don't move themselves. Bleeding victims don't calmly stash devices away. And this thing is really something that I hope the jury picks up on. As Banfield described his life-saving efforts, in my opinion, they didn't align with the injuries that we know existed. He focused on rolling her to prevent choking rather than the immediate bilateral neck compressions that were required. And he said he didn't address any secondary wounds because he was focused on talking to her. Talking doesn't stop arterial bleeding. Pressure does. Although I don't know that there was anything that could have been done to save her life. Now, his emotional presentation throughout this testimony was flat, in my opinion. And flat alone doesn't prove deception. People can process trauma differently, but combined with the highly structured, almost rehearsed narrative of his story, it became really noticeable to me. This is a guy who insists he never left Christine's side until first responders forced him away. And his final claim landed kind of like a dramatic, unresolved pause. And that was the real issue to me. Because real memories of trauma are fragmented. They're disorganized. Yes, they can be implanted so strongly in the mind that you never forget the smells that you were smelling, or the taste in the air, or the things that you visually saw. But these things don't unfold like a screenplay. But his testimony is, and it really bothered me. Now, jurors don't need to catch him in a lie. The prosecution does, and that's what's coming up next. Because up until now, Brendan Banfield has controlled the narrative, guided by his own attorney, but cushioned by his explanations, his free will to perform. But that's all ending now, because cross-examination is where the stories stop being told and they start being tested. It's where the selective urgency gets exposed and where the timing gets pinned down. It's where those little just-in-time explanations get stress tests. So from here on out, it's no longer testimony, it's a stress test. And the jury is hopefully going to be watching every second of this, because when he takes the stand in a few moments and starts walking the jury through how he entered the house, the first thing that jumps out at me isn't any single details, it's the overall feel. This is the moment where many people's memories would be messy. He says he enters through the basement, he goes upstairs, he's seeing this assault going on, and he interjects and saves the day, but can't save the girl. So now what I want to do is go over to the cross-examination by the prosecution. We're actually going to watch the testimony unfolding. And what I'd like you to do is watch for those little moments when the prosecutor's lips kind of raise up, a smile starts to creep on her face, because I think those are the, hey, I gotcha moments. And you know what? You're going to find that this prosecutor went through the questions much quicker than you might hope that she would. I think it's because she's got something up her sleeve that we're going to learn during the rebuttal witnesses. And it might be about that meeting that he said was happening that morning, or it could be something entirely different. But she wouldn't have stopped this soon if she didn't think she's proven her case that Brendan Banfield murdered his wife.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good. So let's understand. This is the first time you've told this story or any story about what happened in the bedroom on February 24th, 2023, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you did not tell the police on that day in the bedroom. You did not tell the police on that day in the hospital. You did not tell them when you were back at the station, correct?
Judge, I'd object. May we approach?
These are your Discord messages with Juliana, do you recognize the username APOCD2?
Yes, that's my
A little
Discord.
bigger so you can see. Has some more numbers after that, D21?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and that's you, right?
Yes, that is my Discord.
Okay,
Name.
and Juliana is identified as Juliana, is that correct?
It appears to be.
Okay. So if we look at line 30, which I'll highlight for you here, February 14th, Valentine's Day, 2023, Juliana tried to break up with you, right?
Juliana broke up with me numerous times.
Okay, on this occasion, she said, I told you I'm seeing other people. We spoke about this already. I won't be going, speaking of this trip to New York that you were going to take with Valerie,
Yes.
right? I'm sure you two will have lots of fun, something to that effect, right?
Yes.
Okay. This upset you, didn't it?
No.
No? Okay, you beg her in the next several messages to please talk to you, correct? How are you? Do you want to talk? We can chat. We'll scroll up so you can see more.
I mean, those are a different day, it appears.
Well, it looks like it's within hours. Yes, midnight happens and we've moved into another day, but you're still asking if you can talk to her, right?
That appears to be what it says.
Okay. Judge, I'd offer into evidence Commonwealth's 244, the Discord messages.
Any objection? Okay. All right, 244 in evidence.
And Judge, if that's been published, the jury will let it linger for a second, and then if we can, take it down. Judge, if we can move to display to the witness and to counsel, Commonwealth's 245. Mr. Banfield, I'm going to just scroll through it. Let me know if you recognize this letter.
Yes.
All right, do you recognize this letter?
Yes.
And this is your letter to Juliana,
Correct.
written while she's incarcerated, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Is it fair to say that in this letter you profess your undying love for Juliana?
Yes, it appears that I was definitely in love with her. Definitely starting in the summer of 23.
Oh, okay. So it was just before she was arrested that you were fully in love with her?
Well, that's when we had an opportunity to actually have a bit of a relationship. With other points were obviously very separated. I mean, I was still working a lot. Christina was obviously still around, and I was spending a lot of time with her. So it wasn't really until the summer of 23 that we had a lot of time together. Okay,
but in this letter, you're talking about the memories of times you spent together before Christine's death, correct?
It seems like some of them are before and some are after.
Okay, and the long hot cuddle, was that before Christine's death?
No, that was after. We rode a bike and went to lunch and got caught in the rain.
Okay. Judge, I'd offer this is Commonwealth's 245.
Any objection? No. 245 in evidence.
And again, you describe here in the very first paragraph-ish, you came here and we fell in love. But you're suggesting that that love didn't happen until after Christine was dead?
As I said, that we did have feelings for each other prior, but I would not describe them as the level of feelings that I had for my wife of 19 years.
All right. Judge, if I can discontinue the display.
All right.
And if I can have Commonwealth's 246 shared with counsel and the defendant. Mr. Banfield, this one's 14 pages, so I'm not going to belabor this, but this is another love letter to Juliana. Is that accurate?
No, it looks that way.
Judge, I would offer this into evidence as Commonwealth's 246.
Any objection?
I don't know that there's a foundation for him
I'm
identifying it, Judge.
Microphone, I just can't hear you.
Sorry, I don't know that he's actually identified it. I think he's just agreed with her
Oh,
statement.
I'm sorry. I thought he said, yes, this was his letter to Juliana. This is your letter to Juliana?
Yes.
All right, 246 in evidence.
And here you said that she's your gym partner, helped you to be the strongest in your life. You've never had a consistent partner before.
Yes, that was referring to a gym partner.
I am obsessed with your happiness.
Yes.
But again, all of this is after Christine
I mean,
had passed?
if you look at that, it also is that I declared that she was a hero because, in my view, she saved my life that day. I think it's easier to fall in love with somebody that saved you.
All right. And I'm going to have you take a look, Judge, if we can pull this down.
That's fine.
Commonwealth's 247. Do you recognize this item?
Yes.
All right. And this is another love letter to Juliana?
Yes.
All right. Judge, I'd offer this into evidence as Commonwealth's 247.
Any objection?
No objection.
247?
Okay, and if we can pull this down. If I can have you take a look at Commonwealth's 250. Do you recognize this letter?
Yes.
Again, you to Juliana?
Yes.
And in this one, you're discussing baby names for your future children with her?
That is something that she wanted to talk about.
Okay. Judge, I would offer this into evidence as Commonwealth's 250.
Any objection?
No.
250 in evidence.
All right. But you are contending, again, these feelings, these very strong feelings, these let's be together for the rest of our lives feelings did not exist when your wife was alive.
Correct.
Okay, and they certainly did not motivate you to kill your wife.
Juliana and I weren't even together when Christine died.
All right. You had broken up, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you need to kill your wife to get her back?
Definitely not.
Okay. You've had multiple affairs, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and one of those affairs was with a woman named Danielle, who you met on a fetish site searching for sugar babies. Is that correct?
I would not call it a fetish site.
Okay, what would you call it?
An arranged relationship.
Okay, but you were looking for someone to be your sugar baby?
I guess it was a relationship where they would already know that I was married. That was what I was looking for.
Okay. Another one of your affairs was with your best friend's wife. Is that correct?
No. First, he's not my best friend. Number two, they were not married. They were not even together at that point.
They were, is that your understanding of what they believed, or is that how you perceived their relationship? Did they think they were together?
I don't think so. My understanding is that she wanted to be with him, and they were not together at that point.
Okay,
But no, they were definitely not married at that point or anything like that.
okay, but you were married at that point.
Yes, I was married at that point.
All right, thank you. Let's talk about Christine and her apparent decision to solicit someone to fake rape her. You would agree, you have not seen today, nor are you aware of any phone history, computer history, indicating that she was interested in this type of relationship prior to January of 2022. 2023, correct?
I was aware that she was interested in this type of thing, but I was unaware of the messages or that she was pursuing this again, as it had been many years since she had expressed those feelings.
Okay, but there is no internet history that you're aware of predating January 2023, correct?
I'm not, could you ask that a different way?
Okay. From what you've seen in court, she sets this up. She's using a profile picture from a gym bathroom with like a Barbie doll. I think it's an Ariel doll in the picture. And that's a photo that she sent to you on that day, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did she have any other pictures in her Facebook cache that she could have used that you're aware of?
I don't know.
Okay, you never looked at her Facebook?
Yes, I look at her Facebook, but I don't use social media very much.
Okay. You presented us with 20-plus pictures yesterday. Were any of those photos available to her? They all came from her Facebook page, correct?
I don't know where they came from. I didn't arrange for them.
Oh, okay. Those weren't your photos that you were sharing with us?
Some of them appeared to be my photos, but I don't know. Some of them, I believe, were my mother's. Some of them, I think, were Christine's. A lot of times, Christine and I, if we were to share photos, we shared them on Messenger.
Okay. All right. And in the pictures that you all had shared on Messenger, there was not a single other photo of Christine where she wasn't in a public bathroom that she could have used as her profile photo?
I'm sure she could choose whatever profile photo she would have wanted. I don't know why. I mean, it appears that she took the photo that day and used the photo that day for herself.
Okay. When these solicitations occurred between Christine and the other users on FetLife, she was looking for someone that she expected to engage with her sight unseen, correct? There were not to be any meetings in public in advance of this hookup, correct?
That is what the messages seem to appear.
Okay. And she was only doing this when either you or Juliana were home, correct?
It appeared to me that it happened when I was not home, based on what was presented today often.
Right, but Juliana was home, correct?
I don't necessarily know where Juliana was at those points.
You just know that you weren't there, correct?
Well, we went through lots of the evidence that showed that there was many times that I wasn't there. There was points that it showed that the messages were logged into from the CBRN email that Juliana states that she has no knowledge of, never logged into, doesn't know the password to. And so if Juliana is the home, whether she is or not, the only other person that is home is Christine that
Right.
can.
But most importantly, you are not home, correct?
It appears that there was many messages that were sent while I was home and many messages
That's
that were
not what
sent
I
while I
asked.
wasn't home.
I am asking, you were not home.
There is both messages that from when I was home and when I was not home, it appears.
Okay. So the person that she picked, again, was one who was willing to come to her home, not a hotel, without any sort of public meetup first, as seemed to be the ask from most of the other participants on FetLife. Accurate?
I didn't read the other messages between the other people.
Okay. And this person needed to be willing to bring a knife, correct?
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't see an ask for the knife.
No problem. You were present for your daughter's birth. You remember that?
Yes.
Okay. And at that time, were you aware that Christine received medication to address her blood clotting disorder?
My experience is that she did not, that they tested her in her prenatal experience and that she did not require a medication for it, but they were going to monitor her for it during the delivery.
Okay, because you were aware she had a blood clotting disorder, correct?
I am aware that she has a blood clotting disorder.
Okay. When you set this whole thing up,
I didn't set this whole thing up.
I'm sorry, when Christine set this whole thing up, it was scheduled to occur minutes after her family was leaving the house at 7 a.m.-ish, correct?
I don't know what time her family was leaving the house.
Oh, you hadn't shared with her your plan to go to your meeting early the next morning?
I didn't have a meeting the next, I'm sorry, can you ask the question again?
Sure, the night before on the 23rd,
Oh, on the
right?
23rd, sorry.
When she is setting this up, she's scheduling it to occur at 7:20-ish a.m., which was going to be minutes after everyone had left the house to go to the zoo, to go to the big meeting, right?
That is what the messages seem to say.
Okay, and are you telling us that your wife was not aware that you had this big meeting scheduled for the 24th?
She was aware that I had the meeting scheduled.
Okay, and was she aware that the nanny was taking your daughter to the zoo?
It appears to me that she arranged for Juliana to take Valerie to the zoo. She got the parking tickets to take her to the zoo. She had planned it, I don't know, a week, 10 days prior.
Right, and the zoo opens at 8 o'clock and everyone's leaving at 7, but she scheduled Joe Ryan to come over at 7:20. Is that correct?
I don't know what time she scheduled exactly.
Okay. And you indicated that you were not aware that she had taken February 24th off until just the day before, right?
That is correct.
Okay, but that's not accurate because her parents were scheduled to come while you were going to be out of town the night of the 24th. Isn't that correct?
I believe they were coming in the evening, and then she would already be back from work.
I see. So your expectation was that she was working that day, but their expectation and everyone else's expectation is that she would be home.
I don't believe it was ever stated that she was going to be home, that they were aware that she was going to be home. My experience was that she was scheduled to work until that day.
But her parents were coming for dinner.
I don't know if they were coming for dinner. I think they were traveling through. I don't know why they were coming exactly,
Okay,
because I think they were going to Florida or continuing on.
okay. And it would be your contention that on the morning of this planned tryst, she took her phone and turned it off herself and put it in the kitchen drawer?
I don't know. I did not see her turn off the phone.
Okay, you didn't see her with her phone at all, did
I
you?
saw her with her phone in the morning when I was getting ready.
You did?
Yes.
Okay, and she was on her phone in the morning when you were getting ready?
Yes, she had her phone in the morning,
And you said that was 6:30.
roughly. I mean,
Okay.
I was in and out getting ready in that morning, so it's hard to say an exact time.
So then would it surprise you if the digital forensics, Mr. Lidsky's work would show that she was not on her phone at 6:30 or really any time before or after that within
I
a,
saw her with her phone. It was on the bed. She had the laptop also on the bed.
got it, okay, so she was just with the phone, not using the phone,
Yes.
I see. Let's talk about what happened in the room that morning. You leave the house, you go to McDonald's, and you're in the bathroom there for 7 minutes, is that correct?
I believe that's what the time showed.
Okay, and you don't leave the bathroom until Juliana calls you at 7:37, is that correct?
I believe that's the time. I don't have the time in front of me.
Okay, but as you're leaving the bathroom, you don't call 911,
I did not.
okay? And you don't tell Juliana to call 911.
No, I did not.
You don't run out of McDonald's. We've seen you on the video. You walk to your car.
I thought it looked like I was walking faster than normal.
Okay, but you're not concerned. You said at this point in time, you didn't have any reason to worry. You thought maybe she was just having an affair, another one, correct?
That was my original thought.
Okay, so out of curiosity, if she's having another affair, why are you going back to the house at all? Why didn't you tell Juliana just to go to the zoo with Valerie? Don't worry about it. It's just another affair.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to be telling Juliana about Christine's affairs. That's not something I would discuss with her.
Why not? You're having an affair with Juliana.
We discussed basically nothing about Christine together. She didn't want to know anything about Christine.
Okay, so you're leaving the McDonald's, you're heading back home to catch your wife in the affair then?
I was very unsure of what was going on at that point. It went through my mind that it was possibly going to be an affair, but I did not know what it was.
Okay, so when you arrive at the house, you're saying that Juliana brings Valerie in after you to the basement, is that correct?
Yes, and she also said that she followed me later. She didn't say that I told her.
Okay, and at that point in time, again, you're still thinking you're just busting your wife having sex with some guy.
I did not know, once again, exactly what was going on. That was a consideration, that it was possible that she was having an affair, but I did not know what was happening at that time.
Okay, but be it catching her in an affair or this question mark something else that you haven't defined, why wouldn't you tell the babysitter to take your daughter back outside?
I believed that she was safe in the basement. I thought they were okay there. I did not perceive that they were in danger at that time. I told them to stay at the car. I don't know why she chose to come to the house.
Okay, but you're law enforcement, and this is your house. You're not going to tell them what to do to ensure that they are safe when you have this doubt about what's going on?
I understand that, and it may have been a mistake that I didn't send them back out, and it's something that I've thought about many times.
Okay. You indicated that you haven't drawn your gun until you're on the stairs up to the bedroom and can hear what you think are sex noises coming from the bedroom. Is that correct?
No, I stated that when I was on the main floor, I believed that the noises were sex, moaning, things like that. But later on, when I was climbing the stairs, I had already changed my thought, and I thought that what I believe are strikes sounded too sharp to.
Right, your mind
moan-
changed. It
Yes.
wasn't sex anymore now, it sounded bad.
Yes,
Okay, at that point in time, there's a lock on the outside of your basement door, correct?
yes.
Okay, you didn't lock the basement door, did you?
I'm not sure I've ever locked that.
Well, the lock is there, isn't it?
It was there when it came with the house. I don't believe I've ever used that lock at any point.
Okay, but it would have presumably kept your babysitter and your child from leaving the basement and following you, as we know Juliana did, up to the room where bad things were now happening, right?
I guess that's possible, but I never thought of that lock. It's not something that's in my general thought pattern, as it's not something we ever use.
Okay, so you followed your training and pulled your weapon and walked up the stairs with the gun out. Is that accurate?
Yes,
Okay. And when you turned and saw Juliana had followed you, at that point in time, you're worried that bad things are happening, correct?
yes, I am.
Did you tell her to call 911 at that point?
No, I was moving quickly towards the door.
Did you tell her to go back downstairs and get your daughter out of the house at that point?
I wasn't worried about Juliana at that point. I was worried about Christine.
Okay, and you weren't worried about your daughter at that point either then, right?
I don't think Valerie was on the top of my mind when I believed that Christine is being injured, and that was at the forefront of my mind.
So you get up to the room with your gun drawn and you see what's happening. You see Joe Ryan behind your naked wife with something metal in his hand. Is that accurate?
Yes,
Okay. And at that point in time, you yelled police, correct?
yes,
Okay. You didn't shoot.
no.
You did not yell for Juliana, who's behind you, to call 911.
I didn't know that Juliana was behind me or had climbed the stairs at that point. I had only seen her on the main floor leave at the door. I did not see her climb the stairs at that point.
Okay, but you told us that the foyer is this big echoey chamber that you can hear from anywhere in the house. If she's in the foyer and you're standing at the door, whether or not she's immediately behind you, if you yelled, call 911, she would hear you, wouldn't she, in this echoey foyer?
Yes, she would hear that.
Okay, but you didn't do that, did you?
I was focused on the tense situation that was in front of me.
Mr. Banfield, is this the person that you saw when you entered the bedroom?
Yes.
Joseph Ryan? Yes?
Yes.
Judge, at this time, I'd offer Commonwealth's 251 into evidence.
Any objection?
Your Honor, object to relevance.
Overruled, 251 in evidence.
So this man, Joseph Ryan, planned to kill your wife, having left this completely discoverable trail on the internet. Is that correct?
I have no idea what his plans were.
Okay. So you think maybe he came for another reason and then at some point his mind changed?
I don't know.
Okay. Did he say anything to you that would lead you to believe that he stabbed your wife on the spur of the moment?
I mean, it appeared to be somewhat related to me telling him that I was going to arrest him. But besides that, I'm unsure.
Okay, well then let's nail this down. I thought you had said that when you entered the room, the knife is in his hand, the other hand's maybe on her neck, somewhere in her hair, and she's already bleeding, correct?
I believe that there was already blood in her hair.
Okay, so in your version of this, he had already stabbed her when you walked in the room.
I believe so.
Okay, and you then saw him stab her.
I guess I'm not sure. It could have been at that same. It could have been at that same time that he already has the knife to her neck. So I don't know if that he stabbed her before or that it was at that point that the knife is already to her neck that the blood goes to her hair.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. Let's go back then and talk about your testimony. You described that when you came in, Christine was moaning / yelled. You thought she was being stabbed. She went to her left, and it seemed he, Joseph Ryan, was putting forward movement. That's what you testified to, right? So that would be the first stab that you saw.
The knife is inside of her hair, which would be at the location of her neck. I can't tell. Christine was yelling and obviously in pain. So I might think that she was already had the knife pressed to her at that point.
So we know from the medical examiner, and you know because you got to hear it, that she was stabbed 7 times and then had an 8th cutting wound, correct?
I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but yes, that sounds familiar.
Okay, and you've described for us that she's already bleeding and that you see a forward movement, but you can't really tell what happened, right? And then you told us a bit ago that there's an exchange between you and Joe Ryan. You tell him to let her go at least one more time after this exchange, and it appears that he forcefully stabs Christine. She spins away toward you and lands on her stomach on the ground. So there's one clear stab.
It's not towards me, it's away from me.
Okay, but that is one moment when you see Joe Ryan stab Christine, correct?
Yes, and then downward after she went to the floor. So
Okay, so you believe that's another stab?
I'm only positive of the 2.
Okay, so you've got 2. So there's 5 more. When did he stab her those other 5 times?
The knife is inside of her hair. I can't tell the movement. I can't tell how that is looking at that time. And I don't know exactly what happened before I arrived either.
Okay, well, she had to get 5 more wounds at some point. And you're telling us that when you get into the room, she's capable of speech, correct?
Yes.
Okay, she says a lot of stuff. She says that he's got a knife, right? Brendan, he's got a knife.
Yes.
She says that. And she says at one point that she wants you to put more pressure on her neck, correct?
Yeah, she told me to put my hand there, and then she put more pressure on my
Right.
hand.
And then at one point, she tells you she can't see, correct?
Yeah,
Okay. And all of this talking is happening with what at that point in time has to be all 7 of the wounds in her neck, correct?
yes.
Okay. Judge, if I can pull down the current display. Take a look at Commonwealth's previously admitted 23.
23 under seal.
I'm sorry, 22. I
I
apologize.
have 22 under seal.
All right, and these are the wounds on the left side of her neck, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And if I can have the witness and the jury take a look at previously admitted Commonwealth's 25, also under seal. And these are the wounds on the right side of her neck, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and she's chatting with you with these wounds in her neck, correct?
Yes, her voice is very hoarse. She was having difficulty speaking, but yes, she was talking to me.
Okay. Going back to Joe for a moment, you are not aware of what his plan was, whether it be to kill her or that may have just been something that happened while he was there, correct?
I know nothing about Joe Ryan prior to these interactions in the bedroom.
Okay. But you know from having sat through this trial what the Commonwealth's evidence is, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you know that he texted with someone on Christine's laptop that whole morning, correct?
Yes.
And you know that he laid out his expected arrival time, correct?
I don't remember.
Okay. Did you catch that he stopped at Walmart on his way to your house and bought personal lubricant because your
Your Honor, I'm
wife?
gonna object. She's
What's your legal objection?
talking about the case, and she's having him corroborate what their case is.
I don't know what that legal objection is. What's the legal?
It's not relevant.
Overruled.
I'm aware he went to Walmart.
I'm sorry, you're aware he went to Walmart, right?
Yes.
And then he bought personal lubricant for your wife, correct?
I guess.
Who
I don't
he may
know.
or may not have been intending to murder, correct?
I don't know why he brought personal lubricant.
Okay. He left his car parked in your driveway in broad daylight, which you saw, correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and he left his 2 cell phones in his car per the instructions that your wife gave him on Telegram, correct?
I guess. I saw the pictures on the floor. I didn't know where they were.
Okay. You said that you heard what you thought initially were sex noises, right?
Yes.
Okay, but we know from the physical evidence recovery kits that were taken from both Mr. Ryan and your wife that there was no semen, no DNA from Mr. Ryan found in or around your wife's genitalia, correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay. So how long do you think passed between your instructions to Joe Ryan to put down the knife, let her go, let her go, let her go, and your wife is bleeding before you shot him?
Not that long. Under a minute.
Under a minute. Okay, so if we were to count out 60 seconds, 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth, that would be a minute. And in that time, you did not shoot him.
I did not shoot him, and I did not shoot him prior to Christine going to the floor.
Okay, and at that point in time that she's going to the floor, we're at least 6 stab wounds in, right?
To the best of my knowledge, it's hard to see. Also, I'm aiming down my sight at Joe, and so I'm not focused exactly on Christine. You have a narrowed view when you're aiming down a firearm.
And you just couldn't pull the trigger, could you?
I was afraid.
Okay. And you are a trained law enforcement officer, correct?
I am, but I have, my shooting record is on the lower end for the qualifications. And there is not a lot, and there's very little space there. And I was afraid of hitting her.
Okay. Mr. Ryan did not have a gun, correct?
Not that I'm aware of.
You also had handcuffs, correct?
Yes,
You didn't use those to apprehend Mr. Ryan, correct?
looking back on it, I should have handcuffed him after my shot, would be something that I should have done looking back at it.
Okay. Well, let's talk about your weapons training. You said that you go to the range monthly to keep up on your skills. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would say I go roughly every month, every other month, when I can.
Okay, so would it then surprise you that when you took Juliana in October of 2022, that you hadn't been since one time in April and one time in May of that year, and prior to that, not since 2020?
I was going to Blackfish Armory as my primary place. We had the Treasury Department had a contract with them, and I didn't have to pay for them, but the contract ended. And so then I went back to Silver Eagle Group.
When did the contract end?
I'm not sure, but Blackfish Armory actually went out of business. They were in Chantilly, so that was pretty close to me. So that's where I was primarily going prior to Silver Eagle Group.
Okay, but you were going to Silver Eagle Group in 2020, and then you went to Silver Eagle Group in April and May of 2022, and then in October and December when you took Juliana. So at what point in time did you transition to Silver Eagle Group?
I mean, I guess I came to Virginia in 2019, so I guess probably in 2019, 2020, 2021, it sounds like I was probably going to Blackfish Armory instead of Silver Eagle Group,
Well,
but I don't know.
without speculating, what do you remember doing?
That's not something that I remember the transition of exactly between the two.
Okay. Why did you teach Juliana to shoot?
It was something that we could do together. It was, in terms of many activities, it was something that was going to be out of the house. And generally when I could or she could, we would do activities together. It was something I was already going to do, and she wanted to come with me.
Okay. And you gave her the code to your safe in your bedroom, correct?
She realized that it was the same code as the door when I was putting away my gear during the day.
So your gun safe code is the same as the door code to your house that your child and wife and babysitter have access to?
They had their own codes, but my code was the same between my door and my safe in my car. It was the same for all of them.
Oh, okay, so Juliana didn't have the door code because that's how she got in and out of the house.
She had her own door code to get in and out of the house.
Okay, so you gave her the code to your safe.
Those are different. I have my own code to the door, and she has her own code to the door, and my mother has her own code to the door, and Christine has her own code to the door. She just, being next to me, going in and out of the house, knew my code.
So when you observed your babysitter picking up your code because she was able to see, you didn't think that was a good time to change the code?
It wasn't a concern of mine at that point. I didn't think about it. Also, I don't think I've ever changed the code after the initial setup. It wasn't something that was on my mind.
Okay. Is that part of your law enforcement training, that it's okay for people to have the code to your gun safe?
I am aware that others in my department had family members that were aware that they knew the code, that they knew their codes.
Okay.
Is this a breaking time for lunch, or you let me know? Okay.
I only have a
That's
little
fine.
bit left, Judge. If I can have 10 more minutes.
That's fine.
I won't
Let's
make
do it.
everybody starve, but
Okay.
just a little bit. Thank you.
That's fine.
Do you have any life-saving training as a result of your law enforcement background?
A little bit.
A little bit, okay. And your life-saving training tells you that Juliana should be the one to call 911 while you are attending to Christine, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, but when Juliana hadn't called 911, you didn't think that was the time at which maybe you should do it?
I didn't realize that she didn't call 911 immediately because I was focused on Christine. So
Okay.
I wasn't looking at Juliana after I told her to call 911. I was looking at Christine.
Okay, so you're also then not aware that Juliana hung up on 911 15 minutes prior to the call where you spoke to them?
My awareness was that she made that original call in the upstairs room.
She made the original call in the upstairs room, and where were you?
No, my understanding is that she actually made the call originally while she was in the basement.
Oh,
As
not
per
the
her.
upstairs, okay. Okay, so you weren't there then, is your contention?
I never heard her make the original call. I never saw her make the original call.
And you certainly didn't tell her to hang up the phone?
No, I knew nothing about the original call until far later.
Okay, so while you are tending to your wife and exchanging hand placement with her over the wounds that we saw, you did not at that point in time use the towel, the blanket, the sheet, or the other blanket to staunch the flow of blood from her neck?
It wasn't until I was instructed to by 911 to do that. Pressure is a different form of treatment that we were taught, and that is also what Christine was doing. I believe that was the best course of action at the time.
To put pressure on the wound that was so large that your finger went inside of it, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And when first responders arrived, you agree you're on video holding her neck with your bare hand, correct?
I think so.
So where had the towel, the blanket, the sheet gone at that point,
I think
after
that-
you were instructed by 911?
I think the towel was right next to me, but
It was under your knees, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Okay,
I thought it was right next to me.
thank you, nothing further.